Lucky Whitehead is the latest Cowboy to get in legal trouble this offseason. However, Whitehead apparently might not have done anything wrong at all. Dallas released Whitehead on Monday after learning of his alleged arrest in Virginia, despite Lucky pleading his innocence. Yesterday, the Prince William County Police Department revealed that they had, in fact, nabbed the wrong guy, and this was all just a case of mistaken identity. Whitehead was not happy with his release and said the Cowboys pretty much called him a liar. Jason Garrett and Jerry Jones spoke about the incident yesterday. Let's take a listen.
I've never talked to a player that I didn't have empathy. Now, you're talking to somebody here that if y'all have done one thing in my time, and to criticize me is how I will back up a player to a fault. You've done it. You've done it for years. For that, I will back them up to a fault so that when we do make a decision around here that in best interest of the team to move on, there's one thing you can forget about, and that is whether you're being fair or whether you've given it consideration of what it means to the individual. That doesn't happen around here.
Guys, we made a decision yesterday that we thought was in the best interest of our team. And in evaluating the particular situation and the context of that situation, we felt like we made a decision in regards to Lucky that was right for our team, and we stand by that decision. I think the best thing for Lucky is to have a clean slate. And he'll have a new opportunity somewhere else. That's good for him. And again, it's in the best interest of our football team.
Did he tell you that he didn't do it?
We had a number of conversations with Lucky regarding this. And again, we made a decision that we think is in the best interest of the Dallas Cowboys.
Why are some of the other players, Jason, dealing with off-the-field issues and still on the Cowboys?
Guys, this will be the last time I'll say it. I appreciate your interest in it. We made a decision yesterday in regards to Lucky Whitehead that we think is in the best interest of the Dallas Cowboys. We're standing by that decision. We're going to move forward. If you have any other football questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Shannon, how do you think Dallas handled this?
Terrible. Because they say they were gathering facts, but the facts, I guess, that they gathered, they weren't comfortable with. But I noticed when they gathered fact on Zeke, they were very comfortable with the facts that they had gathered, which in actuality, I don't believe they gathered any facts because the man said he didn't do it. And I know a lot of people, Skip, there's probably 2 million people in jail. 1.9,990,000 of them said they didn't do it. So I get it, to being cautious. But I just want to know, shoplifting, $40, that was enough to break the proverbial camel's back. So let me get this right. Shoplifting, not a guy that hits a female with his car, brandishes a firearm when a male offers assistance. That wasn't enough. David Irving getting a PED suspension, that wasn't enough. Randy Gregory being suspended again indefinitely, that wasn't enough. DeMarcus Lawrence being suspended again, that wasn't enough. This was the straw. This was the teacup of water that made the Atlantic spill over. Really? They wanted to make examples because, as Jerry mentioned in the piece we just heard, he had been criticizing. And now all of a sudden, they were hoping Lucky Whitehead's situation gave them the perfect opportunity to do what they did. They were hoping someone would mess up, and they were hoping it would be somebody somewhere around between 45 and 53. One of the 45 to 53 guys that's going to make the roster. Let him fall somewhere in there, and we can make an example and let everybody know we got morals. Jerry Jones has never had morals when it comes to his football team. He made it abundantly clear that his risk and the reward, if the reward is great, he's willing to risk it all. Greg Hardy, with the information that he got on that situation, that wasn't enough. Even though Greg Hardy showed up late for meetings and practice numerous occasions, even though he was on the sideline berating a coach, that couldn't push him over the edge. Jerry Jones, since he's on this team, has co-signed. And I love the part. We didn't hear this part, Skip. Jason Garrett said there's a lot of things that he know about his players that the media doesn't know. I got nothing but my jacket to deal with you. Joe, I got to get my back, you old Baptist minister. So there's some things that Jason...
Why do you have to unbutton?
Because you know the old Baptist minister, when I need me a napkin.
Cut a little too...
No, Skip. Have a down the head. He said
He
there's
doesn't want that button to pop off. And
yeah, because I'm moving. Because I'm into it now. I'm glad they turned the AC down for me, Skip. So Jason Garrett said there are things about these players that he knows that the media doesn't know. So in other words, I guarantee you, if you cut Lucky Whitehead for shoplifting, I bet you there are some incidences of players involving players on that team that are worse than shoplifting. But shoplifting was the one was the moral. I cannot stand a thief. Jordan is one thing worse. I can't stand a thief. A man that'll steal $40, he's worse than a guy that abuses a woman. He's worse than a man that'll pull a firearm. He's worse than a continual PED user. He's worse than a guy that cannot stop smoking weed. That's the line that we drew in the sand. And a guy that was not even guilty of what they accused him of got cut for that. And they got guys on their team that have done thing after thing on occasion after occasion. And he's still on the roster. It's so hypocritical of Jerry Jones. It's so hypocritical of Jason Garrett. But hey, as bad as Lucky Whitehead was, Skip, you mentioned yesterday, he was late for a plane to go to the Giants. They
had to stay home.
They suspended him. But let me ask you a question, Skip. Did they cut him? He said there have been, you said there have been numerous occasions. He said there's numerous occasions. Not one time did they cut him. Now I get they got Switzer, who's a nice return guy, who's probably going to be his replacement. When you drafted him, they didn't cut him. One day in the training camp, this dude is so bad, you cut him because you think he stole $40 worth of stuff. Boy, this is outrageous. This is ridiculous. And you know it, Skip. Defend your team, and that's why you'll be 9-7 and home for the playoffs.
So that's a whole nother issue. Don't get me started on that. But let me get this straight about the man sitting across from me.
Yes.
Day after day after day after day after day, I have to come sit here and hear him say, Jerry loves his players to a fault. Jerry looks the other way. He doesn't care. Outlaws, no. Just bring them on. Maybe they can win for him. He's just going to sweep it under the carpet, or he's going to fix it with a few tickets here or there, maybe a couple bucks here or there. He's going to make it right and keep them as eligible as he can keep them to a fault. So finally, Jerry Jones takes a stand, and thank you, Jerry, for stepping up to the plate yesterday, because we didn't see that whole interview, but he was getting hot at the media because he's saying, now, wait a second. You got all you guys standing here, maybe some women also, but all of you reporters standing here at one time or other have criticized me for being too soft on my players, right? For being the only good cop around here. We're all good cops around here. We don't have any bad cops. So the one time that Jerry comes across as quote unquote cutthroat, where he just said, that's enough. I'm out. This kid is gone. Doesn't even really let him speak for himself or his agent speak for him. Again, you can say they look foolish because they didn't do enough homework. It was a little bit knee-jerk. It just looked like he was involved in another quote-unquote incident. I don't think they even tried to get to the bottom of it. They just knew that originally the Virginia police said, hey, this guy, he's got the name and he's got the social security number of one Lucky Whitehead. He's even got his birth name, Rodney, and he looks just like Lucky Whitehead. That's a pretty strange case. So they didn't even do any more homework. They just said, nope, after afternoon practice, after morning practice, before afternoon, they just cut him in about an hour.
Well, that was a lie Jason Garrett told. He said they did their homework. He said they did their research, and they felt comfortable with that decision.
Thank you for bringing up Jason Garrett, because for once, I'm going to applaud a guy that I often criticize on this show, the robot, the puppet that is Jason Garrett. He had the, I'll just say, gumption to stand up to the media and say, I'm not going to answer that question.
Why not?
We did this in the best interest of the Dallas Cowboys, which they clearly did. And he took 6 straight questions on Lucky Whitehead. And he said, if you don't have any more questions about football, I'm out. And he walked out. Good for you. At least he showed he's his own guy for once. I love that. I love that. And look, bottom line, Did they draw a line in the proverbial Southern California training camp sand? Yes, they did. Did they make an example of one Lucky Whitehead? You can make a case for that, although I can make a case for there was the traffic accident last year that he posted on Instagram but didn't tell the team about, and then he pulled it down, and Jason Garrett got asked about it and said, I don't know anything about it. It embarrassed the team. And then even recently, there was the bizarre kidnapped pit bull story. And USA Today reported that the Dallas-Fort Worth police had considered pursuing action for filing a false police report. It's just another thing. Now let's get to the bottom line, which and what line did I say Jimmy Johnson once drew in the sand in 1992? What did I bring up 2 days ago on this show? That in 1992, the legend of Jimmy started to grow when in the last regular season game, what did he do? It was a meaningless game at Texas Stadium against Mike Ditka's Chicago Bears. A kid named Curvin Richards, 4th-round pick out of Pitt, fumbled twice in the second half. They were ahead like 27-0. All of a sudden, it got to be 27-14. Jimmy cut him on the spot. Just boom, he's cut. Why did he do that? To draw a line in the sand, to refocus his football team entering the playoffs. He made an example out of Curvin Richards, and Jimmy was canonized in Cowboy Nation for it. It's one of the most ruthless but bold things that Jimmy ever did. And what happened from that point on? They went on and won the Super Bowl a year ahead of the schedule before anybody thought they had a chance.
So I guess if they'd had Curvin Richards on the team, they weren't going to win the Super Bowl.
Okay, but what if Emmett had gotten hurt? They went defenseless, so to speak, into the playoffs. They didn't have a backup running back. Wow. Well, Jimmy got away with it because Emmett didn't get hurt. So let's think about this. Was Lucky Whitehead, I can't believe we're talking about Lucky Whitehead this much, but it's just that he's the center of this attention that's happening right now. Was he going to make the final 53? No, he was not. I didn't think he'd make it this year because Ryan Switzer returned, as you point out, 7 punts for touchdowns at North Carolina. 7.
Has Lucky Whitehead ever returned a punt in the NFL for a touchdown or a kickoff in the NFL?
He did for a preseason game. Oh. Well, I told you yesterday, I think he's valuable.
Okay, if he's not.
But I don't think he's valuable enough. And listen, Noah Brown just wiped out my Oklahoma Sooners on that Saturday night game that was on Fox early last season in Norman, Oklahoma. And they stole him in the 7th round. Watch. I don't know if he'll make the practice squad or the 53, but I think he will become a contributor on this team. So, is Lucky expendable? Yes. He's very expendable. Yeah. Did they make an example? Yes. Why don't you applaud it? For once, they finally did something.
Why am I going to applaud you releasing a guy that didn't do anything that was reported that he did?
Well, he had little incidents that piled up.
But that's not what you cut him for. You said that's not what you cut him for.
All right.
Because you knew those incidents and you didn't wait.
So the NFLPA yesterday made noise about we're going to research this. We're going to check into this. We're going to investigate. And they're going to do what to Jerry Jones? Help me out here.
Nothing.
Unless you can make a case that he was going to make the final 53 and you cost him that money, the NFLPA's got no case here.
But here's the thing, Skip. This is the pulpit you want them to stand on, releasing this guy when you had Greg Hardy with all he done.
Okay, but they finally did something. Did they not do something?
They had it for the whole year.
Okay, but it was just another incident. It wound up being nothing. He was exonerated. And you know what? Jason Garrett's right. He needed a fresh start in another place. I'm pretty sure somebody will pick him up. God bless him.
So what part of Greg Hardy incident was worse than what this guy did? If he did 50 things.
You know how I feel about all those. I was the first to say before that season, you can check the tape. I don't want Greg Hardy, and if Jerry signs him, I'm going to be anti.
Okay. Tell me what.
I was the whole year.
So tell me what he did that was worse than Randy Gregory. Randy Gregory failed 3 or 4 drug tests.
He got suspended. He's not even going to be allowed to play football.
Have they released him?
It doesn't matter. The NFL punished him. The NFL punished David Irving. You don't have to release him. The NFL was not going to suspend Lucky Whitehead.
Give me a chance.
Okay,
Nolan Cara.
You know what?
Skip, let me finish.
I get all those. The bottom line is that you can't stand it that the Cowboys finally actually did something. They actually took a stand against trouble.
Skip, they didn't release me. I give a damn if they cut Lucky Whitehead. I'm just saying the principle of the matter. Nolan Cara got a DUI 7 days after signing. But
he's going to get suspended by the league.
They
don't have to cut him.
Skip, if I'm a child and I go to school and act a fool, the school suspends me, but I come home and my parents do nothing, was to stop me from doing it.
Do you want me to start combing every roster
I'm
in the
not-
NFL
we're
and
not
show you players that didn't get
You
cut?
see what you're doing? We're talking about the Cowboys. See, don't tell
It's
me
the way business is done. They
Don't-
do it more than most.
I don't care. We're talking about Apple right now. If Google and Microsoft and AT&T, we'll discuss them when the time is appropriate.
Did Bill Belichick sign Michael Floyd when you said, "How dare they"?
Yeah, we're talking about this team.
Okay.
But that's not the precedent for an NFL team to also punish a player on top of what the league punishes.
But he didn't. First of all,
And we know, because you say it all the time, tolerance.
Lucky
matches
Whitehead got cut for something that he didn't do. But things that the guys we know for a fact they did are still on the roster. We know the guys
Because they're more valuable.
Okay.
But that's what all NFL teams
Well,
do.
don't make it seem like all of a sudden you got morals, Jerry, because since you brought the team in 1989, you've shown none of those.
Did Jerry say yesterday, "I've got morals now"? Did you hear him say that? I don't think that's what he's saying.
No, you said you patting him on the back.
I was.
Oh, he cut Lucky Whitehead.
No, I just said he deserved to say, you can't criticize for too soft one day and too cutthroat the next. You can't do it. Which side of your mouth are you talking out
At
of?
least cut me for something that I did do.
Well, he did a bunch of stuff.
You know what? You remind me of my grandma. My grandma used to
I
be.
do?
My grandma.
That's a compliment.
Okay, let me tell you what my grandma do. I would do something, Skip, and my grandma would whip me, and she'd say, "I should have told your butt up last week when you did what you did back then." Hold on, wait a minute. You beat me for what I just did. You shouldn't be talking about what I did a week or 2 weeks ago. You should cut Lucky Whitehead for the action that he did at the time of you releasing him. Not a year ago, not 2 years ago.
You know what they did? They said, here's just another thing involving Lucky Whitehead, and he's expendable.
That's how my grandma did me, Joy. Talking about I should have told your
You
butt up
turned
last
out
week.
okay.
No! I'm scarred for life.
You know, Sterling turned out okay. I'm not sure.
Yeah, he got beans because I told on him.
All right.
Terrible. Next up, Monday Morning Quarterback released their rankings of the top 400 players.